Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Arc Raiders. Today I want to talk about the expedition because this topic of blueprints is really coming up, and now we're seeing on Twitter and other places like, is the expedition worth it? But a major sort of sticking point is definitely blueprints. We talked about this in a video the other day. Personally, I'm not worried about resetting the first time. I definitely am worried about the second and third reset and feeling like that's worth my time. Getting back into the game after a reset is going to be tough, yet at the same time, the satisfaction of joy of finding the blueprints you need, earning skill points and actually earning XP again. All with a very important context, guys, that we know a lot more about this game than we did at launch. We know that map conditions are linked to specific blueprints. We have really good goals and strategies for farming them. We know sources of them, whether it's trials or the quest system. You can definitely get what you need, but the best stuff that you want long term, there is heavy RNG in this system, and that does feed life into the game. So I want this video to help you understand the system as we currently know it, but then have, a really clear plan of attack if you're going to reset like I am. The first topic we need to talk about for this video though is that things have changed. Something has changed. Whatever we thought we knew about blueprints, they definitely did something. This comes alongside two things, right? You've got the fact that the hidden bunker isn't available, and you've got the fact that the locked gate event still isn't available after we had it briefly before Stella Montis. These two locations are linked to two blueprints specifically, the hidden bunker and the vulcano, and the locked gate with the bobcat. But as of this week where they disabled the hidden bunker, we've now started to see rarer blueprints you normally wouldn't find any other way than the specific map condition from trial rewards, as people are starting to post screenshots of things like bobcats coming from trial rewards post-disabled bunker. So while we definitely have a good understanding, they've clearly made some sort of change. And at a minimum, it makes us think that the trial rewards could just be anything, making the trial rewards per week even more valuable. So definitely consider that. Now, to get into blueprint farming, you need to understand how it works, and it's pretty straightforward. Every time you open a container, it might give you a blueprint, but the context of opening that container matters a lot. Where was it? What was going on the map? What kind of container? What's the tag type of the region? So what does that mean? Well, when you go to play, you have map conditions. You have night raids, you have the storm, you had events like hidden bunker. Those are map conditions, and as they say, it has increased loot value, but then the cost of something like no active raider hatches on a night raid. So increased loot value. Then obviously on different maps, we have location types. So we have the super straightforward coloring to show us loot value high or loot value medium. So your red areas, as you open something within this location, you have a higher chance of finding something rarer. But then you have the tag type. So in this location, we have nature, industrial, and security. So if I go there and open something, there's a chance it's going to be industrial or security, right? But then you've got container types on top of that, where it's very clear that when you're looting something technological, such as a server, you're going to pull out something like wires. More obvious examples, when you open a weapon container, you're gonna find weapon related things inside there. But to be clear then, for blueprints you've got the map condition, the location tag, the location's loot value, the medium high and that kind of thing, and then the container type that you're opening. By combining these facts, you can target farm specific locations, specific containers within, and during specific map conditions. With that knowledge, you'll be able to find basic and uncommon blueprints relatively easy in all kinds of places. Let's do a classic example. There was a time near launch when I didn't have level 3 everything in the workshop, so I needed to go to specific maps and specific locations to try to find the items they were looking for. Great example of this would of course be the rusted gear. For that, a great type of location is this, mechanical. Checkpoint itself is a red location, so high risk but high loot value, and it's filled with cars within those borders. So if you're after the rusted gear, you want the correct container type. So we have cars, mechanical, and we want to be in a higher quality location, such as checkpoint with its high value. So it's more possible when we open these kind of containers that we're likely to find higher rarity. Let's say we were doing this all at night on top. Night has that increased loot value tag. So we want the rusted gear. We're looting the correct containers, the cars. We've raised the chance that the rarer items exist by being in a red location and by being there in a map condition, like nighttime. And we picked this location because not only are all those things true, but there's so many cars that we can loot, there are many containers of the type we're here for. You can apply the concept to blueprints, but there is some interesting aspects to consider. Do you actually want the rarest blueprint? Like, let's say I've just reset today via the expedition. What I need and want the most right now is actually more of the basic stuff. Like, I want the anvil blueprint. I want uncommon green attachments, because, no downsides and only good numbers. I don't exactly want a purple mod, because it comes with negatives, and also will be more expensive to craft in general. So I apply the rules of farming and target farming. In this context then, I would want a location that's nice and dense with loot containers. And the correct type, right? So everyone knows about, say, the apartments, Pale, Ruby, and Pattern House. You go in there and you just have so many drawers and stuff to loot all in one nice tight location. And this kind of location would be old world tag or commercial, residential. The only thing I could do to increase the odds of the rarity of what I find there is by going during a map condition, like night or during a storm. But in this context, like day one of resetting, I want the odds to be better than normal, but not too good. Like I say, I'm not after purples, I'm after those green and blues. So by coming to these apartment locations where they're not like higher value loot with a red border, but I have increased the rarity by being here at night or on a storm, this is the perfect place to find those blueprints that I'm looking for. It's still possible that I'll pull purples and stuff, like you can pull them out of any container anywhere, but you're trying to manipulate the odds in your favor. This is why I'm going to really like this event here, the uncovered caches on reset day. I can do raider cache runs, and on the way I'll hit every weapon, grenade, backpack container as I go, piling in resources, getting piles of nades, medical supplies, ammo, finding weapons to run, and I'll be rolling lower rarity numbers to find early blueprints, like the anvil, or utilities like the barricade blueprint or whatever. Sure, big ticket items like the survivor augment and otherwise, those are going to be great. But initially after reset, I want to pack in the important and actually easy to farm blueprints as soon as possible. So with that understanding, what about hyper-specific blueprints that do exist? Well, you've got ones that come from arc cores to talk about first. Obvious example would be the Jupiter and Equalizer legendary weapons. You can loot the Queen core after killing it, and that will very likely provide you a Jupiter or Equalizer blueprint. That one's a bit of a unique one though, because for the Queen event, it's also the Harvester event. You clear the Harvester, you get the rewards there, you're very likely to find those blueprints from those containers. But another example would be the Aphelion, right? They put the Matriarch in, and the Aphelion blueprint specifically comes from the Matriarch core. So you're not expecting to pull the Aphelion blueprint from somewhere else. But there are other arcs that have cores, but only one specific one that has a lootable core in the same way, which is the Surveyors. There are many reports of both weapon and attachment blueprints coming from Surveyor cores. I've definitely experienced this myself, so whenever I see them, I do hunt them down, and I'll be doing that with prejudice, with heavy ammo and a ferro on day one whenever I see them. Other large arc do have special centers though, from bastions and bombardiers, very clearly having cores, to leapers and rocketeers. Rocketeers have their sort of main unit, but in my experience, these larger parts of these other arc, like leaper drives and rocketeer drives, that's what you'll find from those spots, rather than it being a prime blueprint source. But I am really hoping with the reset that they rebalance numbers, but we'll have to see. There's also rare and condition-based blueprint hunting. Blueprints that seem to work under different rules, certainly based on community experience and our own testing as you can see. If you want a snap hook blueprint, then you want to be on the electromagnetic storm map event. That's where it actually exists as a spawn, and actually at really good numbers. Look at this clip. I find 2 of them within seconds of each other while in the annex on damn battlegrounds. So it's the right map event, meaning it actually spawns. I'm looting containers like drawers and lockers, and the location I'm in, the annex, is a slightly higher loot quality location, so better odds. And sure enough, I find 2 of them in like moments. But you can find them elsewhere. Here's another clip of me on Bluegate in a random sort of mid-construction building. It's not like a special loot location at all. I'm just there on the storm, technically where the blueprint can spawn, and I find one. Another largely discussed blueprint tied to a map modifier is just an annoying one. It's Night and the Tempest. Reports and experience suggest that the Tempest blueprint has only been found at night specifically, but we have seen plenty of claims about one map, the whole buried city, and the grandiose apartments. I think that's maybe just a misunderstanding, but it does tell us something of use. It's a residential location with a value of medium, so it's above like 0 or low at very least. And this location itself is 2 huge apartments, so there's loads of drawers and containers in a nice dense location. If you're there at night, let's say the Tempest can actually spawn. You've got higher rarity odds in general, and you're looting many containers in a tight location. So you're rolling the odds as many times as possible. So maybe that's why people found it more commonly here, but that's like the logical understanding I have of it. Anyway, another known one is definitely the Vulcano. The shotgun was found on the hidden bunker. That's where people were reporting finally finding it after ages of searching. And that is where we found it as well, specifically within the event. Cotton came here and was just looting all the containers, completely ignoring the event, rolling the odds, and sure enough, he found one. Which is hilarious because they've removed the hidden bunker. So where are you going to get the Vulcano? Well, maybe it'll be in trial rewards, but yeah, let's get on to that. The bobcat. This was meant to come from the locked gate, apparently. the event that was barely in the game. So just like the hidden bunker, good luck getting your bobcat and vulcano, I suppose. But now again, the reports of it showing up as a trial reward exist. So clearly they've made a change, maybe some rules have changed. Finally, I want to talk about augments. Augment blueprints are going to be very important. And somewhere along the way, quite early, I got literally all of my epic ones. And that's because I really enjoy PvP. By now, a lot of people know about this though. You have the blue gate, and in this location, you have reinforced reception, which is security and technological. Clearly, security is tied to the augment tag, at least that would make sense. Anyway, under reinforced reception and head house is of course the Manticore Labs, and inside there is that special breach room, the armory, which has those special like black containers and special armory style lockers, as well as plenty of like weapon container cases spawning. In there, it's like surprisingly high how many people have talked about finding augment blueprints in that specific location. But it very well could just be the security tag, or it being that specific armory room. On Stellar Montis, there are rooms just like that. If you bring yourself to the medical research, there is a room right here that is an armory, and that's technically in a high loot location, but it's medical and technological. Is that room separate from that? Is that just a security room because it's an armory? And then you have the key room in the lobby over here. This is a loot value medium, but it's definitely a security and technological location. And the armory is definitely a security location separate from that, but on top of that. Either way, in our experience and understanding, the armory locations seem to be tied to augments and plenty of weapon potential, and will be a place I run early into reset. Outside of those specific ones, I want to give you advice for fast reset piling in blueprints. So firstly, like a guaranteed source of them, is hitting level 15, unlocking trials, and getting 3 stars in all the events. I've got blueprints from 2-star rewards as well as 3-star rewards. So if you get lucky, you could pile in 5 to 10 blueprints by doing your first week of trials when we all reset. So that should be a priority, hitting level 15 and not missing that in the first week. Obviously, another example of this would be quests. There's the burletta pistol, the hullcracker and the launcher ammo, the lure grenades and trigger grenades. These all come via blueprints, via quest lines. So you should definitely push those earlier than later. And then yeah, just your general blueprint farming methods and how high quality you're looking for. Like I say, in the first week, I'm definitely going to be doing raider cache runs where I hit every backpack, weapon and grenade container on the way. Damn Battlegrounds is my favorite map for that specifically. Otherwise, it's the simple rules we've just outlined. Condensed container locations. Under the condition, so night or storm or whatever, and the location tag you care about. Key rooms are a simple example, but plenty of open areas exist, like the apartments on the damn Battlegrounds. But you've obviously got, say, research and admin, which is a higher value condensed loot location. There's also the annex. Other maps examples would be Spaceport. You've got the fantastic red locker room in the departure lounge building. There's, say, on Stellar Montis, the staff room, which is basically just a condensed locker room to loot. These are prime examples of spots that I'm going to go focus in those opening days. But yeah, I hope this helped you understand the system as far as we know it, and maybe motivated you a bit more to get into the expedition. I will be going hard on my first reset and providing as much guidance and advice as I can find as I go through it myself. On that note, if you guys have any extra information, advice, or experience to do with this, let us know in the comments. But yeah, until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thank you for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.